Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Orange County. We're so glad that you tuned in today. Thank you, Bill. That's great. Before we get started, I'd like to affirm our vision and mission statements. Our vision statement is centered in divine love. We joyfully co-create a world that works for all. And our mission statement, to awaken, inspire, and transform lives. Before I go to announcements, I'd like to thank those that made this service possible today. Bill on piano, Tom on audio, Waverly on streaming, and John on camera. Annie will do our daily word and our meditation. And our Reverend Arlene, yay, she's back again. And her message today will be the law that never lies, cause and effect. My name is Tina, and I will be your platform assistant for today. Our announcements, I would like to remind you that mark your calendars for Sunday, March the 14th, as we reopen our doors again. We are very excited about this. We'll be practicing social distancing and masks will be required. After the service at 11 a.m., we will be having fellowship outside and we'll have pizza. So please bring your own drinks. Even if you don't make the service, come for the fellowship. Bring your own chairs. Still unsure about coming back? Well, sit in your car and we'll bring pizza, smiles, and a wave to you. So remember, we miss you as much as you miss us. And don't forget that time change on the March the 14th. 1 hour ahead, so don't be late. All right. Our creative project, God is still, we're waiting for your notes and your index cards with your creative letters on there. But one of the ways that we are building our spiritual community is by tapping into our creativity. We're calling for each of you and your families, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, even your neighbors, to send us your ideas of what God is on a Post-it or index card. Be creative using words, visuals, or both. Use pens, pencils, stickers, stamps, etc. We will then put these together into a collage and we will post them here in Unity of Orange County. So submit your God is, in one of the following ways. Mail your Post-it or index cards to Unity of Orange County, 23181 Verdugo Drive, Suite 103B, Laguna Hills, California, 92653, during the month of February and March. And February is over, literally, so for the 1 month of March, to minister@unityoforangecounty.org. And then we'll create a collage so that everyone can see all the submissions that were made. All of our classes here at Unity of Orange County are on Zoom, and the ID is 818-8859-3747. Today, we are having our gratitude prayer group, and we will be meeting via Zoom, and that will be from 11 to 12:30. We have a wonderful new class starting. It's the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible, looking at an old book with new eyes. Class begins on Tuesday, March 9th from 6 to 7 on Zoom. The only book you will need is any edition of the Bible. And this will be facilitated by Reverend Arlene, so you know it's going to be a good class. For a full listing of all of our upcoming activities, please go to our website at www.unityoforangecounty.org and go to our calendar. So now I'd like to I invite Reverend Annie, I'm sorry, Annie. It's been so long.
This morning's reading from the Daily Word, Sunday, February 28, 2021, connection. I honor my connection with all people. No matter how great the distance that exists between me and the people I care about, I know we are connected by our love for one another. Today, I reestablish and strengthen this connection by reaching out, even if it's only to let someone know I am thinking of them. Our connection is also kept strong through prayer. As I pray for those I care about, I bless them by holding my highest vision for their lives, seeing them as healthy, prosperous, happy, and fulfilled. Whether we're in frequent contact or have fallen out of touch, my connection with my loved ones remains strong. We are one in God, one in love. And the scripture, for in the one Spirit, we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and we were all made to drink of one Spirit. And this is from 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 13. And we move into the meditation. So we just pause for just a moment, sensing and knowing and feeling that right where we are, the presence of God is. And truly, there is no otherness, only the one. I know that there's one life, and that life is God's life. That life is my life right now, closer than my hands and feet, nearer than my very breath. God is, I am. And as we move into the service today, as we move into the activities of this day, we already know that the word spoken, the message delivered by Reverend Arlene is already an idea in the mind of God, and every ear hears what it needs to hear, every eye sees that which is for them. So I bless this time together. I bless the few minutes that we spend in the silence, knowing that while our voices may be silent, our minds may be silent, there is a spiritual presence that was never born and cannot die, that is always with us. So we sit in the silence and we welcome the living Spirit Almighty. Come unto me, all ye are labored, and I will give you rest. So we rest in the silence.
Thank you, Bill. That was beautiful. And welcome to Unity of Orange County. And today I'm talking about something that is something I love. And the topic is a law that never lies. And this is the law, a universal law of cause and effect. It is one of these laws that we find not only in spirituality, but we find in science as well. And the law basically says the scientific definition of it is cause and effect refers to a relationship between two phenomena in which one phenomena is the reason behind the other. The term effect has been used frequently in scientific research. Spiritually, it's kind of what we often think of the word karma. And karma refers to the spiritual principle of cause and effect, which states that an action is always accompanied by its consequences. So the result of the deed is inherent in the deed itself. So when we think of this law, there's good news and there's the bad news. The good news is that it is a law and it is always true and it never lies. That means that we have a say as to our life and what goes on in our life. If things aren't going the way we want them in our life, instead of looking outside, we have to look within. We have to look for the cause that brought about the effect. Sometimes it's immediate and sometimes it isn't. So there's a story, many years ago, there was a very rich English nobleman, and he was traveling, trying to get to Parliament. And on his way to Parliament, it was during the time that people used horse and carriages, his carriage got stuck in the mud. And no matter what they did, no matter what his driver did, they couldn't get his carriage out of the mud, and he had to get to Parliament. Well, a young Scottish boy happened to be in the area, and he had a horse and a cart, and he went and he actually helped pull the cart out of the mud. Well, the man in the carriage was so thrilled that this boy did this that he asked the boy, he said, "I want to do something for you. Is there anything that you want?" And the young boy said, "Well, we don't have a lot of money. I've always wanted to be a doctor." And the man said, "I'm going to set up a fund for you to go to medical school." The man in the carriage was Randolph Churchill. The young Scottish boy was Alexander Fleming. 50 years later, Alexander Fleming has become a doctor, and he is the one who discovered penicillin. Winston Churchill, who is the grandson of the man who was stuck in the mud, gets sick and he's close to death, and it is penicillin that saves his life. So the immediate cause and effect was this young boy helped this man get out of the mud. The effect was the man set up a fund for him to go to medical school. No one could have figured that 50 years later, that same boy would have discovered a drug that saved the grandson of the man who he got out of the mud. You see, everything we do in our life has an effect. It might not have an immediate effect, but it does. And it might not come from where we're doing it. So people say, well, I did this, I helped this person out, and I didn't get anything back from what they did, but we always get something back. You see, everything we do comes back to us. In Unity, we talk about the law of mind action. We talk about the law of giving and receiving. Those are not real laws. The law behind those laws is the law of cause and effect. The thing that makes mind action work is the law of cause and effect. What we think about, we bring forth in our life. And so if things aren't going the way we want them in our life, what we have to ask ourselves is, where is my thoughts? What am I thinking? Somewhere we have picked up negative vibes, if you want to call them, or fear, and it could be from the collective consciousness of our world, but we pick this up, and what we do is we make it our own, and therefore we have this effect, and the effect is usually what we don't want. It makes it very difficult for people. A lot of people like to belong to old religions, traditional religions, which say, for instance, if my life isn't going the way I want it, I just have to pray to God, and God is going to change my life. All I have to do is come to believe in Jesus, get saved by this, do this, whether it may be a guru, it may be chanting. All I have to do is that, and this thing is going to change. It's hard for people to accept the fact that they are responsible for their life. And the only thing that changes the effect is changing the cause. For example, if I'm unhealthy, if my body is unhealthy and I'm having a lot of health challenges, I can go to a doctor, I can take a lot of pills, I can do all that stuff, but I have to change the way I think. If I think I've inherited a disease from my family, guess what? You name it, you claim it. I believe that I got this because my family had it, I got it. I have to change the way I think about that. That is changing the cause. It is changing my thinking from negativity, from being a pessimist to being an optimist. When it comes to health, it may be looking at the fact that I'm eating unhealthy foods, that I'm not exercising, that I'm not taking care of myself, that I'm smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day and I can't figure out why I'm having trouble breathing. It might be the fact that we're a junk food junkie. For years, for most of my life growing up, I never exercised. I lived on junk food. I thought a balanced meal was a pizza because it had all the food groups. It had vegetable, dairy, if you put a little vegetable on there, it had I thought that was a well-balanced meal. So consequently, I was always sick. I was always sick. If somebody across the street had a cold, I would catch it. If somebody mentioned that there was a flu going around, even if I didn't know anybody who had the flu, I would get the flu because the cause was I wasn't taking good care of my body, and I believed that I was just one of these people prone to getting sick. It wasn't until I began to look at things differently as a result of unity that I began to see that I control my health. In other words, if I eat good foods and I exercise and I think of my body as being healthy, then I have good health. Everything we do is a result of it. This foot is a direct cause of something that I did. I was told that I had this problem and I could do fine, but what fine wasn't good enough for me. I had to walk miles. I had to walk through pain. I had to decide that I was going to do this 200-mile trek, and so I had to train for it and all of this. And so what happened was I took a minor condition and it developed into a major condition. I can't blame anybody except for myself for it. I can't blame people on the outside. For all those years that I was sick and I was unhealthy and I had addiction issues and all of that, I blamed the world. It was everybody's fault except my own. If you came from my house, you would have these problems. If what happened to me happened to you, you would have these problems. It was always something out there. And it wasn't until I began to look what is going on inside of me that's bringing about this that I was able to change my life. Folks, there's no magic pill to take. There's no answer out there that someone's going to do for you that's going to change the effect in your life from all the years that you may have done things in error. You have to do it. A lot of people have trouble in unity because it says we're responsible for our own life. And it's so much easier to believe somebody else is responsible and that we're a victim. So this law, the law of cause and effect, affects everything. So in unity, we often talk about the law of giving and receiving. But there really isn't a spiritual law, giving and receiving. It is the law of cause and effect. The truth is, financially, as I began to give, I began to get more. I couldn't outgive spirit. It was like when I started going to Unity and I learned about tithing, I started tithing. And my accountant at the end of the year looked at my stuff and he said to me, he says, he was an atheist, by the way. He says, Do you realize you've given this much money to this church? Don't you know that's all churches care about is getting money, and he was an atheist. He says, you're just throwing your money out. But what was interesting was the more I gave, the more I received. Because it is the law of cause and effect. Generosity breeds generosity. When we are tight and stingy and we don't want to give, what happens is we don't get back. Think about it. If you're holding on to things so tightly out of fear that you're not going to have enough, you're holding on tightly. How can you receive anything from the universe if your hands aren't open to receive? We have to be open to receive what the universe is constantly giving to us. And we have to ask ourselves, when life isn't going the way we want it, what have we done or not done in our life that has brought about this effect? This is a law as much as the law of gravity. Just like with gravity, if you climb up to the top of the building and you drop something, it is going to fall to the ground. We get back whatever we put out there. And so this is hard. Like someone said, well, I didn't do anything to bring about COVID. But there is our personal consciousness and there is the collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness also brings to it things according to what it gives out. So this law of cause and effect is the basis for any kind of spiritual growth you're going to have. Because to grow spiritually, we have to go within. To grow spiritually, we have to go within and find the truth that is always available to us if we just take the time to see it. So I invite you to close your eyes for a few moments. And picture maybe something in your life right now that isn't the way you want it. It could be a health issue. It could be a relationship issue. It could be a financial issue. Whatever it is, what you are looking at is the effect of something you caused at some other time in your life. The good news is that you're not stuck with that effect. We can go within and ask, what is it that I have to change? What effect do I have to do in order to change the outcome? It's never too late. Just because something was a certain way in our life doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. It is not, I did this bad one time and I am doomed to this. It is, I did this thing wrong at some time, and I'm now going to right that wrong. And by righting that, I am going to change the effect. I am going to change my life. I am going to stop looking outside of myself and blaming other people. We are the stewards of our own life. We have been given everything we need by the universe to live a life that is filled with joy, health, happiness, prosperity, loving relationships. And if we are not getting that, we have to be honest and ask ourselves, what is it that I can change? I can change my life, but it only comes by first changing my thoughts. That is the true spiritual application of the law of cause and effect. And it never fails. It never lies. It always works. I know it has worked in my life, and I have seen it work in countless lives. This law is a law of hope. It's a promise that we do determine our life. And that is the good news. And for that we say thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Bill. That was beautiful. And thank you, Arlene, for that reminder. Cause and effect. In Unity, we have 5 basic principles that we believe in, and they are: 1, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. 2, I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. 3, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. And 5, I do and give my best by living the truth that I know I make a difference. And we also believe, as Reverend Arlene was saying, that we give and receive. And here at Unity of Orange County, we have several ways that you can also give. We have our webpage, which you could go to and donate. We have text, where you can 77977, and in the message put Unity of Orange County Give, or you can mail a check. And also, another way to support Unity of Orange County is through smileamazon.com and look for Unity of Orange County. Also, like and subscribe to our channel. So thank you very much, and let us bless our offerings. So together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you so much. And we will do our blessing closing prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, safe week.